cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off into fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. I did a poll today, and there was a lot of people that voted. There was, the time I looked at, there was 103. So thank you. Out of the 103, 70% said they didn't want to rewatch the Adam Montgomery sentencing, which is okay. The 30% of the people that are here are you all. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Welcome, Crime Crew. Hello, Davey, Giselle, M, Bree. I see Carly in here. Thank you, Carly, for being here. Stephanie. Oh, I'm just going to say Stephanie and Melissa. And I'm sure we'll have more rolling in. I think when you're actually thinking of rewatching the sentencing, I can't even say it. You're thinking of all the stuff you had to watch and sit there and wait and so forth. We're not going to do all that today. We're going to do what Guilty of Crime does. And we're going to get through the important parts, and we're going to hit key points, and we're going to talk about it. So, hello, Gigi. Happy Friday, and thank God for important notifications. I wanted to do this with you because I covered parts of the Adam Montgomery case, and I really wanted to see it all the way through, meaning sentencing, and talk about if we think justice was fully served. Will Harmony Montgomery's body ever be found? And what we think about Kayla Montgomery and how she made it about herself. Most of you watched it by now, and you know his sentencing. But if you don't, what I'm going to start off with playing before we get into the sentencing that's long, which we're able to skip through now. Yesterday, you had to sit there and watch it for hours, and you didn't get to fast forward. This time you can. So first, I'm going to start out with, I always like to play things in a different way, and that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to show the press conference after so you can see what happened first. That way you don't miss it if you didn't watch it. Say, wait, what did he get? What happened? You're going to know right now. We're going to hear it all in a nutshell. And I want to bring everybody in and say hi to you as we start
I'm a Senior Assistant Attorney General here for the state of New Hampshire, currently Chief of the Homicide Unit. With me is Christopher Knowles, Knowles, an Assistant Attorney General also.
Now we're going to run through this fast. Ben Agati, he's going to talk about what he thinks, the Senior Attorney General. If you didn't watch this yesterday, you're going to watch it now. We'll go through it real quickly. It's the afterthoughts of it, and I'm glad you all are here to talk about this with me. Hello, Lisa and Mary Herrera. And yeah, there's Sadie's mama. What's up, Giselle? Yeah, he should be under the jail rot, and I also believe Kayla should not have been there making it about her, which we're going to see and we're going to talk about. That's why I wanted to do this today. All right, that impact statement, they shouldn't even have let her be part of that. And no, the body was not found. Do you think it will ever be found? They do bring that up in the sentencing, and you're going to hear what I'm talking about if you didn't already see it. Hello. So let's listen to this while I pull up all the other things behind the scenes.
So assigned to this matter. And of course, Chief Aldenberg of the Manchester Police Department, who has been here since the beginning. I imagine just briefly, there's a couple of things I can say today. Actually, most of the time I can't tell you folks much, but today, obviously, it's after sentencing. So as you heard upstairs, the court did provide a sentence, and the sentence being essentially, when you add them together from the consecutive nature of how they were imposed, being 56 years to life sentence. These 56 years is consecutive to those that he has already been sentenced to in the other docket matter from last year of armed.
Now, the good thing about this is a consecutive sentence runs after it. It's not concurrent running together, so he doesn't get 40 and then 56 years running at the same time. It's his 40 years or whatever he has and then 56 after, which means he's never going to get out. So that's what I wanted to show you in case you didn't catch the actual what his actual sentence was. It says here Adam Montgomery was sentenced to 45 years to life in prison, and it's going to be consecutive to his weapons charges, which means he's never going to get out.
Career criminals offenses, as well as theft by unauthorized taking, and that was an aggregate of 32.5 to 67 years. So in aggregate here, and I've been asked just a moment ago, I do not have the exact calculation, but certainly based upon the defendant's age at this point, I believe that he would hit his minimum parole date on these at around either 115 or 118 years old, but they are 2 consecutive sentences. That being said, today is truly about harmony, I would say, and I think you've heard that from all of the different victims' family members from here and from afar who were able to come forward and provide their statement to the court. The presentation that the state made obviously was trying to make sure the court found a good balance between punishment, deterrent, and rehabilitation. She certainly agreed with what the state's recommendation was, and that is what she has imposed. Again, I think what was also tremendous that you may have seen today is the men and women of the Manchester Police Department who were here, and all of our federal partners, state partners out there who could not be with us, some who were and some who couldn't be here, who helped make this basically possible by going.
Yeah, now, and I appreciate him for doing this, and Portuguese wifey. That's why I wanted to come here today. I think people don't understand when I'm replaying this. You don't catch things the first time, and nobody explains it to you. When you're watching court TV, they don't stop and tell you what consecutive or what concurrent or what life sentence means or what means what. And so we're here to break that down for you, help explain it to you, and help answer questions. And also in this community to grieve with each other that Kayla has never been found. And they mention it, and I'm wondering, do you think she will ever be found? Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Kayla's almost as bad as Adam. I agree. I think she's just as bad as Adam, in my opinion. But again, she didn't get convicted for that, and he did.
And finding the evidence and presenting that evidence in front of the jury. At that point, I'm very happy to take any questions at any time. If anyone might have one, go ahead, sir.
At the start of it, you obviously made that offer to Adam to tell you guys where.
Yes, I did not discuss any sort of plea offers that may or may not have been made outside of the courtroom. That was a recommendation. And as you may have heard me say to the judge, it's completely in the judge's control what the sentence would be. But the state was willing to change its recommendation from what it presented to the court if he was going to provide us with where she was. He admitted in closing statements and through even his opening statement, find him guilty of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse, directly, which are on point dealing with where Harmony is, wherever she is right now.
Agreed. So he knows where she is. He's the only one that we know that knows where she is. And they did bring that up in the sentencing. And so I'm wondering, now that he's already sentenced, there's nothing that can change. Will we ever find out because of his conscience, or will we ever find out because maybe somebody else knew? But they did bring that up, and they were at one point trying to offer a plea deal, I suppose, to find that little girl's body, and he just wasn't going to break, even though he did say abuse of a corpse, which means he had her body after she was deceased, which makes no sense for him to plead not guilty and to say he doesn't know where her body is when he's the one that hid it.
So with regards to that, I don't know that the argument that somehow maintaining his innocence works when that's what he articulated to the court about those 2 charges. We were very much hoping that he would share those details. He seems determined to keep those details to himself.
Did you have hope, though, that he might take you up today on that?
I did, certainly. And I think everybody who has been trying to find her had that exact same hope.
Mr. Gotti,
Yes.
Are there any avenues for you to continue to try to get that information at this point?
At this point, I think it's up to the defendant, whether the defendant ever chooses to reveal that information to anyone or not. That is his choice. That doesn't mean that the search will stop or that the Manchester Police Department and their partners are going to follow up on leads that come in. But right now, we were really hoping that he would be able to share that information and be willing to do that. He chose not to. That's his right. But that's what he did today.
Is there any update on the search right now? Where's that?
Wow, I don't know what happened to their video, but something happened there.
I mean, it's a bittersweet day. The team back in the room, I'm looking at them all now. I said this last time I stood up here. Jack, Max, Lieutenant, Captain Lee, and Captain Larochelle, Billy Tuss from the United States Marshal Service, who's been with this case from the get-go, Scott Riley. I don't want to leave anybody out, but yeah, it's a horrible, horrible case. Mr. Montgomery had a chance today to, again, I've said this before, yet another opportunity to do one decent, good thing in his life. And again, he passed that up. So we'll keep working it. We'll keep working hard to do our part to locate Harmony and bring her home.
And see, justice hasn't completely been served. I don't know what happened with this video here. It's playing on WMUR9, but we're hearing what they're saying, and basically we just want to have a conversation before we get into the sentencing. Gigi, thank you for calling that out. Now, Kayla Montgomery conceived a child with Adam while Harmony was in the ceiling above them after she had passed away. So you cannot have much sympathy for her at all. And I think she is going to have to hide. And during her release, when she was pleading to get out of jail, her parole hearing, they did bring that up, that she's going to have to be afraid of getting out, and where is she going to go? How is she going to hide? And she knew that. She knows all that.
Grateful
I don't know what's wrong.
hearing us, and for the jury for sitting through what they had to sit through for that period of time. So I'm thankful for the process and grateful to be where we're at. It's been a long road.
Chief, do you think the system has changed at all? Could there be another Harmony Montgomery out there now or in the future?
That's not for me to, Manchester PD can do our part to make sure that doesn't happen. What happens beyond that in the partnerships that we have with other agencies that interact with children, we're working, to keep those relationships positive. And my hope is that this never happens again.
And it will happen again, because we're covering other cases where this is happening again. There's lots of missing children, and we have to keep this out in the light. Do I think that they'll ever find her body? There's a possibility they can. Lots of times hunters or hikers will come across something. She was in a small bag. They could find bones later on. I don't want to be graphic, but they could find some bones or some DNA later on that brings her home. I don't know what that man did with her, what that monster did with her. I don't know. But there's a possibility she can come home one day. But for right now, the justice that we have is a semblance of justice, and it has to be recognized as being served to the extent that it can be. Now, when we watch him being sentenced, he is just the rudest POS on the planet. The way he talks to the judge is outrageous. And that's why I wanted to go over this with you today, and to have some closure to this case in my mind.
I don't, nobody wants that works in this field or works in the field of children. Nobody sets out for that to happen. So we'll continue to take steps to make sure that this does not happen again in the state of New Hampshire or anywhere else.
You're all set with the chief. If you're all set with us, we're going to thank you for your time. And I believe that hopefully there may be some other family members here who are willing to talk with you. I don't know. But thank you very much.
Ben, could you quickly address the appeals process for Montgomery?
All right, so we're not going to get into all the appeals process. There is going to be an appeals process. There always is an appeals process, folks. Every time somebody has a trial and then they get convicted, they have a right to CMC TOPAG within a certain amount. I think it's 30 days to file an appeal. He's definitely going to do that. I doubt that a judge is ever going to give him that appeal unless he comes up with a body. And then there's a good possibility if he says, I want to try this, I want an appeal, I have the body now, I'm willing to have another trial with the body, then maybe it's still a possibility. Yeah, people reported a smell, and there's lots of smells because we know that little girl was in the car and she was defecating on herself. And remember, Kayla Montgomery was just rolling around in the car with her, watching her be abused. So, justice is going to be served right now, right here. We're going to watch it together, and we can talk about it, and you could be interactive with it, because yesterday I noticed when I was listening to it, there was no interactivity, and I felt like I was in it by myself. And so I wanted to watch it with you all so that we could at least talk about it. All right. So I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to make sure that we're watching the important parts. We're not going to watch the nothing burgers that happen. All right. So we do want to, now, we haven't seen him in a very long time, folks. Remember, Adam Montgomery hasn't showed up to anything, and the judge has now ordered him to come to the sentencing. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen. What a coward. He's definitely bulked up, right, folks? Last time he was a lot thinner. He cares more about himself than anybody. You can see he got himself a haircut. The court will come on in a minute, but I really wanted to show you that monster. And like I said, everything's time stamped, so I'll go through this and we won't have to watch nothing. I just wanted you to see him.
Please be seated. Council approach.
What a monster. Look at him looking at the cameras. He knows people are looking at him.
CR20 and 216-2022 CR2372. Council identify yourselves correct.
Good morning, Your Honor. Benegatti for the state.
And I can't do anything about the sound.
Caroline Smith with the public defender. All right. Good morning. One moment, please.
What a monster, folks. Now they turn the volume down, so I just want you to, while I'm volume's down and I'm talking and I'm interacting with you, yes, justice for Harmony. Now we can actually say guilty of crime, and there's no allegedly to this because this man is actually guilty of crime, and we got some justice for Harmony Sadie's mom, but I still would like to bring her home. Look at this guy. I mean, I couldn't unsee him enough after I saw him with his Pennywise tattoo. That's what that is on his neck. He comes in, he looks at the people in the crowd. He likes the attention. He makes faces to the camera. He tries to be attractive. If you saw other pictures of him in the past, now they're not talking, so I'm just talking to you. In the past, he has pictures of himself flexing and working out. He thinks he's really something. Now, the girl that was in front of the camera is Kayla's sister. Thank you, Bree. Also, when this is done, I'm gonna let the parents. There's two gentlemen that are in a marriage, two men that are married, and they have Harmony Montgomery's half sister. They took her on. So, you know, the baby that they had, that Kayla and Adam had together, that baby had to go somewhere, and two gentlemen that are in a relationship, obviously a gay relationship, have her, and they're going to speak about what a shame it is, how hard it is to have children when you're in a relationship where you can't just roll over and have a kid, and how disgusting these two people are. And I just want you to see where Harmony's sister went. So we were talking about that Kayla rolled over and had a baby with him while look at this guy. So Kayla conceived a baby while Harmony was in the attic or in the ceiling above them. She was already passed away in a ceiling, and Kayla and Adam had sex and conceived a baby. That's Harmony's half sister. And instead of her going to some foster home where bad things are going to happen to her, she actually got a loving family. And I want to show that to you next after this. So in case you didn't know that, now you know. Hello from South Africa. What's up? If you guys could do me a favor and hit that like button for me so we can get more people from South Africa, the UK, Australia specifically. I love the Australians. Kayla's sister. Why would she be there? Well, Kayla's there, and they're in support of her because Kayla thinks that she is a victim, apparently. And you're going to hear that. Thank you, Bree, for even saying that. I said that as well. Kayla thinks she's a victim, and you're going to hear that today. Hello, Owl on the Prowl. I haven't seen you before, and if I have, I don't remember. Please like and subscribe so we can get more content to more people. Hello, Susan. Join your channel. I absolutely love you too. You're a member. We're going to do a members only live very soon. And we're going to talk about, I can't tell you what yet, but we're going to get personal with guilty of crime, which is me. And we're going to do another topic with that. Kayla and Adam had a son. The married couple has Jameson, the half brother. That's correct. So, okay, Jameson is the half brother of Kayla, or of, I'm sorry, Harmony. May justice be served for Harmony today. It was served yesterday. this little boy is 7 years old, and he is Harmony's half brother. And I'm sure these men will let him know that his sister was a beautiful soul, and in the time when it comes, know what happened. Yeah, you're going to see that after, folks. All right, we'll fast forward a little bit. I'm tired of looking at his face. Let's hear what happens. It's time-stamped.
And compacting her into smaller and smaller bags and ultimately disposing of her on March of 2020, and tampering with witnesses afterwards to ensure that this horror story that we heard at trial stayed silent. Under our law, after the second-degree assault, after what he did to her and the other crimes to hide other acts to hide his crimes, under our law in New Hampshire, that means that the mandatory minimum sentence that the defendant must receive for second-degree murder of a child under 13 is at least 35 years in prison. So the question for us today isn't why the defendant should get the minimum mandatory sentence. The question is, how can the minimum sentence ever apply to the crimes that were committed by this man?
Right.
How can the minimum ever apply when he beat Harmony the night before and the morning of, and time again as he drove from the methadone clinic to Burger King, and he beat her to death and then covered her up to suffer and die in the car while he ate his food? The state's position is, how can the minimum ever apply when this court recognized at the last sentencing hearing that he had 15 years of convictions for, quote, some of the most violent and egregious criminal behavior, end quote, that this court had ever seen? How can the minimum ever apply when he's lied over and over again that he didn't kill his daughter and that she was safe somewhere when he was first asked by many different people? How can the minimums?
Now, remember, Kayla's going to come up soon, and Kayla did the exact same thing. Now, Portuguese wifey, you don't have to have Venmo or Cash App or any of that. All you have to do is hit the join button. And if Carly or Bree can drop that link in there, there's a link to join our Crime Crew official. You don't need credit cards or Venmo or app or Cash App, but you can just hit the subscribe button if that's what you can do. Subscribing supports our channel. All right. So remember, Kayla is just as culpable in my eyes, but she only got a little bit of time because we wouldn't have known what happened to Harmony. All right, let's go.
Ever apply when he conceded at trial the crimes that involved the horrors that he inflicted upon her body from December 7th on forward up and until March, when he dumped her from the U-Haul that he had conned others into renting for him? How can the minimum ever apply when he's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to tell investigators and others where she is right now, and she can't be left to rest? There's nothing minimal about the crimes that he's being convicted for today.
Nope.
The state is not going to restate everything that's put forth in the state's sentencing memorandum word for word. The state's recommendation at this time is that the defendant serve 4 to 8 years, stand committed for the crime of second-degree assault, which occurred in July of 2019. And that should then be followed by consecutive sentences of 3.5 to 7 years for his falsifying physical evidence for what he did to Harmony's body, with a concurrent sentence of 12 months for the abuse of corpse misdemeanor, followed by another consecutive 3.5 to 7 years for witness tampering, for beating his spouse to ensure that she would stick to the story he created, followed by not less than a minimum of 45 years to life from the charge of second-degree murder. The state recognizes that this is just a recommendation. The decision today lies with the court, regardless of what the state says.
Absolutely, it lies within the court, and this judge is more than fair. Now, the statement that is read is coming from the sister, but it is about Kayla, and it should not be about Kayla. It should be about Harmony, and she should never have acted like a victim, and she still does. And thank you, Portuguese wifey, for becoming a new member, and the mods for dropping a link for her to be. I appreciate that.
But that's the state's recommendation today. However, Your Honor, if the defendant will right now tell us where he hid her body, sufficient for us to find her, if he'll tell us right now where he put that CMC bag, so that her family and the Manchester Police Department can recover her remains in the next 7 days, then the state would amend its recommendation to a minimum of 35 years to life, and let the second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, abuse of the course, and witness tampering sentences be served concurrent. But right now, Your Honor, if he...
You see, they're still giving him the opportunity to this moment, this very second, and he's not even looking up at them. He's probably reading some document and trying to think of what he's going to say to get himself out of it or say he didn't do it or whatever. He doesn't care and he has no respect for anybody. He still has the opportunity to say something.
He tells us where we can recover her, and we do so within the next 7 days. We will change our recommendation to 35 years. Since that offer has been rejected, Your Honor, that is yet another reason why the minimum should not apply. What I just said was not a stunt. It was not a theatrical event. I stated in closing arguments that there are moments in life where we are tested, where our failure or our success lies in whether we do the right thing at that moment in time. And time again, and about 30 seconds ago, the defendant chose again to be heartless and immoral and selfish and unapologetic, which for the purposes of you deciding his punishment and rehabilitation and his deterrence and coming up with the right sentence for him means that he has just yet shown you again in this courtroom, and for anybody else, that he is heartless, immoral, selfish, and an unapologetic murderer of his own child.
Beautiful.
Now, I was saying again, there's certainly nothing minimal about what he did to Kayla Montgomery, to abusing her into lying for him. There's simply nothing minimal about what the defendant did to Harmony and what he did afterwards. And that's why now, having just given an opportunity, we're asking you to impose nothing less than 45 to life for the sentence of homicide. You should impose more, but 45 is a bare minimum that this defendant deserves for what he did to Harmony. She is gone forever. She didn't get sick and get old and pass away. Something didn't just happen that night. He happened. She wasn't able to be surrounded by the people that loved her. And instead, when this court determines punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation,
I'm actually really surprised that they let her have an impact statement read there. Normally, the judge is a lot more particular about who they let do that, but there may be a possibility that they're letting her do that because she is getting out. And when she does get out, people are coming for her and they know that. So, I mean, they don't want that, of course. They want justice. Maybe secretly they want that, but they don't want that to happen. Then they have another murder on their hands. Yeah, absolutely. Juror 13, 2 monsters. And yeah, Emma's still able to walk free and have more children. And she will. Trust me, she will.
should consider that Harmony died in pain and in fear under a blanket. And nobody deserves that, especially a 5-year-old child. And that kind of death is different and weighs in favor of more than the minimum sentence here. You can, if there was a thief here, you could order the return of stolen property, or you could order restitution. When you sentence a defendant for an assault case, the victim can receive treatment and compensation for her injuries. But in a murder case, there's nothing directly that this court can do for Harmony. She's already ultimately paid the price of the defendant's anger and cruelty and frustration. But what can be done is recognize the value of her life and the terrible way she died by giving the defendant a significant prison sentence, something more than just the minimum, and certainly not the sentence that the defendant may ask you for in a few moments. You can make.
Now, normally, and I'm going to address this, just because the judge got a copy of the impact statements, they don't let everybody just give impact statements, folks. They only have a certain few people that they'll let. There's a list, and then they approve the list. And so the judge has to approve the list. But the copy of the statements being submitted is different than the judge approving the list, because otherwise you would have hundreds of people wanting to give impact statements. So, no, people do not hate her less now. I agree. And yeah, I'm instantly mad about that as well. I heard that yesterday, and it blew my mind that that even happened. She is not a victim. She was not the victim. The only victim is Harmony.
Sure that he's not going to hurt another child. You can do that for Harmony. And in that process, you'll also be doing justice for the people who care about Harmony, for the many people that worked hard to hold her killer accountable. So most of those people, several of them, are in the courtroom today. Many more are out there. Some who are present here today would like a chance to address the court, Your Honor. Most notably, and I think it has to be first and foremost, Your Honor, is Harmony's biological mother, Crystal Sword. She's present here today. She has prepared a victim impact statement that we have written that we can provide to the court afterwards, but we would like her to be able to speak to you and present her thoughts.
Should we do so?
Let's do it.
Bothered you to your core that she was nothing like you and everything like me. Beautiful inside and out, funny, smart, sassy, loving, and most of all, kind. She wasn't a coward like you, and I'll be forever grateful for that. You're a coward who has to be in control of everything and everyone around you, insecure and paranoid. The list goes on. She is none of those things.
This is Crystal Sorry, Harmony's biological mother, folks, and I do give her credit for stepping up when she needed to. I feel really bad what happened with her, and originally I was I was torn about her, but she definitely swayed me. People can have redemption, folks, and I give her the redemption and I give her the respect, and I feel really bad for her. Crystal Sorry, Harmony's mom.
She lit up a room when she walked in. She made a mark wherever she went, and you couldn't stand it. She was an incredible big sister. She loved her brother Jameson to her core, and I know she loved your sons too, no matter the picture you tried to paint of her. December 7th will forever be the darkest day of my life. The night you beat her to death, I woke up in the middle of the night in agonizing pain, from my head to my toes, and I felt like I was dying, not knowing, in the most brutal way, a part of me was dying. Suffering in that back seat for 20 minutes while you and your wife fed yourselves and your other children, and you got high. 20 minutes that you could have used to save her life. Did she cry for me? Did she scream? Did she beg you to stop? I'll never know. Because like I said, you're too much of a coward to tell the truth and do one good thing for Harmony. You may have taken her physically from me, but she is always, always with me. And I will forever look for her until the end of my days. But I hope that every day and every night you are on this earth, you hear nothing but my baby's giggle. I doubt you ever heard it in this life. All she knew with you was misery and fear. I hope you hear a sweet voice telling you to stop hitting her over and over, or how she looked the very last time you saw her, broken and bruised. You were supposed to protect her, yet you did the opposite. Harmony wasn't anything to you but property that you could throw away when she was more of a burden to you than a meal ticket.
Damn.
Your hatred for me led you to act on your monstrous, controlling ways, and you took her because you just could not let her come home where she belongs. My love for Harmony outweighs my hatred for you, but they both gave me the strength to listen to my instincts and to help the police put you away forever. Harmony will live on through me, and you can't do anything about it.
Poor Crystal.
You can't do anything to stop it. I wish you nothing but pain and misery for the rest of your pathetic life, and with or without you, we will find my daughter. I always knew you weren't a good person, which is why I left you. I just never knew to what extent, but now I know you're just plain evil.
I hope so, Serenity. I do hope that he gets justice in prison by his fellow prisoners. He thinks he's the hardest, most handsome man on this planet. He thinks he's the smartest. His ego is just off the chain. And I'm sure it gets even bigger when the statement's read by his ex-girlfriend, baby mama, whatever. This guy just thinks he's so amazing, and he's disgusting. All right. Next, Brittany Sorry, which is Crystal's sister and Harmony's aunt.
Call with you right after she was born, and they were both in the recovery room. I was talking you down from how scared you were because you just wanted to be the best dad. And I believed in you and reminded you how good you were with my daughter, that you would be the best dad and not to worry. I couldn't even believe how wrong I actually was. You are a monster, Adam, not the monster who's in your nightmares or the ones that terrify you when you're little. You're the monster that pretends to be a daddy and then brutally abused, tortured, and beat your 5-year-old daughter to death for the accidents you caused by locking her in a room 24/7, traumatizing her and making it blatantly clear that she could not trust, count on, or come to you when she needed someone. You didn't fight for her for 4 years like you had Kayla claim on your behalf. You lied and you forged documents You did it to have control again over something in my sister's life. You never for 1 second loved Harmony, because if you did, she'd still be here today. You wanted to control her, and when you couldn't, over and over again, because she reminded you of my sister, you took her from us because you didn't want anyone else to have her. More proof of the absolute coward you are. The fact that you sat in court at your gun trial, like my sister said, and tried to use Harmony for some sympathy by saying you cannot wait to refute the offensive claims that you killed your daughter and you didn't, and you loved her. Jury selection day, you showed up smiling at the jurors, proving exactly how evil you are. Then tell the judge the day of opening statements that you did all but kill her and expect a bunch of people to believe yet another lie from you. Because your egotistical ignorance makes you believe you are somehow smarter than anybody. You have the nerve to claim to be a victim of the disease of addiction and how it destroyed your life and all the crybaby stories you tell. The fact is this. You are a selfish, evil, conniving, poor excuse for a human being, and I hope you sit in prison every day while she haunts you day and night until it's unbearable, because that's what you deserve. I used to call you my brother. We used to talk about everything. I've seen you break down and cry and open your heart up to me. Even when you first got Harmony. I messaged you and I told you that I would help in any way if I can, if you needed it for Harmony and wanted to be a part of her life. And just like anyone else that reached out, you blocked me. You had so many chances to change the result and let her go with people that loved her, but you didn't because you knew she would help.
And I wonder what happened between then and now, folks. Everybody that's following the case knows about Adam Montgomery, and they know about his past history from his teenager years on. We saw pictures of him when he did at one point look happy and hold little Harmony when she was little. So what happened between now and then? I think drugs happened. I think power happened. I think anger happened. I think control happened. And I think once you go in that direction and you keep going in that direction, most people don't have coming back from there. You can't come back from certain things. And this he can't come back from. That's what happened.
She would have told all about the abuse, so you killed her. If you're any type of man at all, Adam, or you ever loved her for 1 second, you would tell us where she is, so at least she can rest in peace after everything you put her mind, body, and soul through. Regardless, karma will get even because you don't destroy such a beautiful soul the way you did and not reap what you sow. So let it be.
One of the other individuals in this particular event who is not present here in the courtroom today, but is the victim of the crime, that is the victim of the crime of witness tampering, is Ms. Kayla Montgomery. She has prepared a statement. We've submitted there. We will be submitting that to the court as well. It has been provided to the defense counsel. She has asked a victim advocate to please read the statement for her.
If the victim advocate could please state her name for the record and also the Kayla Montgomery's statement.
Certainly.
My name is Amy Van Auken, and I'm reading.
All right, trigger warning, folks, for anybody that hasn't heard this. Trigger warning, this is Kayla Montgomery's statement, and a victim advocate is reading this for her. I do not think she's a victim. I know she's not a victim, and I don't know why this was approved to be read in court.
A statement on behalf of Kayla Montgomery. Goodbye. I wanted to write a letter to you because it's the only way to tell you how I feel. I don't know about you, but I need some kind of closure. I will forever have a place in my heart for you, whether you believe me or not. You were my best friend, my husband, the person I chose to spend the rest of my life with. You were the father of our children we have together, and I'm forever grateful for having them. I will never forget the birth of our first son we have. That was one of the many best days of my life. We had just gotten married and started a family of our own. I'll never forget when your grandmother said to me, "You're the best thing that has ever happened to my grandson."
Yeah, this does sound like a love letter and then a breakup letter all in the same time. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm sorry that we have to hear this again, but I do want to bring the full sentencing to you and put an end to this case.
Son. I'll always remember the births of all the children we have. Also, when you stepped up to be a father to Harmony. You worked so hard to get custody of her, and it took a few years, but you got her. I won't forget the day we picked her up and brought her home. We were so excited. Then, during the summer, was when we both started to go downhill because of relapse. After 5 years of sobriety, that was the beginning of the chaos. By the time Thanksgiving came around in the year 2019, we were losing everything. My job, our place to live, and after living in a car for a few weeks, we lost that. At the same time, Harmony dies because of your anger and hitting her so many times. We didn't even know she passed away until the car died, and we had to take our kids out of the car. She didn't respond. She was lifeless. Then a couple years go by, and during those years, we had to keep quiet about her being gone. You told me to stick with the story that you dropped her off at 6 a.m. at Duncan's, where I no longer worked at, and brought her to her mother, Crystal, so she could stay there because it was better for Harmony. Then you came and picked me up when my shift was done at 2 p.m. She wasn't in the car. She was with her mother.
This sounds just like a blame tactic, folks. This whole letter is a blame tactic so that when she gets out in a few days, that she's going to say she didn't do it. She's a victim. None of this right here means anything to any of us, and we all know that. This is completely just diverting the attention from her. She was there the entire time, and she could have stopped it. She could have not made a baby while Harmony's body was in the ceiling right above them. So this is absolute mockery of the case.
In those years of having to keep quiet, you started physically and mentally abusing me, accusing me of cheating on you, telling on you, and trying to kill you. The first time that you really hurt me was when you accused me of cheating and had me on the living room floor against the corner of the wall telling me if I didn't tell you that I cheated on you, that you were going to F me up. When I never cheated on you and said that I didn't, you punched me right in the face a couple of times because you said I was lying, and I wasn't. So then I said, yes, I cheated on you so you wouldn't hit me, but you still did anyway. You started getting crazy when we would get high on crack. I told you I did things I really didn't do because you said if I told you that I did whatever you'd accuse me of, that you wouldn't hit me, and I was dumb enough to believe you. No matter what I said or did, you would hit me, punch me, spit in my face, or would have me in a chokehold and cover my mouth so I couldn't scream. You were not the person I married, not the person who loved me and who never hurt me. It's like I married my father. I never would have thought I would have to run away from you until I knew I had to take our kids and leave you. I'll never forget that day either. It was one of the hardest things for me to do. The last couple of nights after you got arrested the first time, I was sleeping with a knife because I did not know what you were going to do to me.
Sure.
After I found out that you got arrested, I went back to our apartment to grab a few things, and then I made the decision of not going back to live there anymore. I couldn't stay in the apartment after a year of chaos with you in there. Just all bad memories, barely any good ones. We had about 5 months total that year of living there that were good times. Other than that, nothing but bad memories. I'm so angry and hurt by you. I know you probably hate me because I had to do the right thing, but also because of all the bad. Not only did you lose your rights to our children, but so did I. Now I'm going to have to keep fighting for them to at least be back in their lives. You seem to forget you cheated.
Yeah, I actually don't know why she's a victim in the Harmony death whatsoever. She is not a victim in this at all. That was not her child. If anything, she should be culpable more than she was, and she was part of this. I have no idea why they let this go through, folks. This is absolutely insanity. She's sitting there playing a blame game and talking about him cheating on her. Who cares? All the other stuff have nothing to do with Harmony and justice for Harmony. I don't know what they were thinking.
Not me. And you just left the kids and I for some girl, packed your stuff and left to another state. I called you out on your BS when you were on your way to Maine, and I also called you out for being with someone else months before you left to Maine. You accused me, but you were the one cheating. The day you got arrested on January 2022, you called me and said to tell Kelsey you're sorry about her car. Yeah, right. That's all you're worried about, not your wife and children you may never see again. No apology for cheating on me and making me think I was crazy. So I got to do all I can to get back on track with my life. You caused so much hurt and pain. I don't even know why I still care about you and actually feel bad for you. Oh, maybe it's because I'm not a cold, heartless person and still have some care about you. I was in love with you once. Now I still love you because you're the father of our children. This is goodbye for now. Maybe I'll see you at the future in some point. Goodbye, Adam. And then the day they started their relationship was October 8th, 2015. And the day they married was Harmony's birthday, June 4th, 2017.
Why would she even say that? Maybe I'll see you at some point in the future. Why would they even let her add that? Absolutely disgusting. And you know who else disgusts me? His defense attorney. This little old lady right here. That's all I'm going to call her, is this little old lady. She absolutely disgusts me too. And I bet she doesn't sleep good at night with her lies that she's spouting, knowing what happened. Kayla, you're disgusting. You should stay hidden. Ugh, so gross.
Your Honor, one family member who I've heard from yet is with regards to a very young man. This is Harmony's younger brother, Jameson. He lived with Harmony up until the age of 1, saw her as late as 18 months in his life. Both of his parents are here, Mr. Blair Miller and also Mr. Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, and they have a statement.
And we're going to hear from them after. Those are the gentlemen that are married, and they adopted the child that was conceived. I believe his name, they just said he's 7 years old. His name is Jameson. and he got adopted by this couple, which, by the way, had to fight for an impact statement. Yet they gave Kayla this terrible impact statement that gave Adam some hope that maybe someday she'll see him.
Your Honor, thank you so much for allowing us to speak here today. Good afternoon to you. My name is Blair Miller, and my husband Jonathan and I are here today on behalf of our son Jameson, who we adopted in 2019. He is a 7-year-old boy who came to us from foster care. Jameson and his sister Harmony were in and out of different foster homes together. They seem to be on a path of surviving their troubling relationships, their circumstances together. To understand the true impact that this loss has had on Jameson and will continue to impact him, you need to hear the stories he tells us and wants you to know. He wants everyone to know. When we first adopted Jameson, he would always tell us about Harmony. He would tell us about her beautiful blonde hair. He would tell us about her glasses. He still does. He would tell us about her bright blue eyes. He would tell us about her wonderful smile that lit up a room. He would tell us that she was there to help him. Jameson has constantly asked us, where's Harmony? Recently, he once was struggling to go to bed. He looked off in the shadows of his closet and said, is that Harmony there? Looking back at me. These are no questions for a little boy to be asking. He no longer can hold on to that hope. Since learning about the death of innocent and beautiful Harmony, Jameson has suffered. Just a few weeks ago in school, his teacher asked him to draw a picture of his family. He drew a picture of his 2 dogs, his 2 brothers, his 2 dads, but then he put a heart above all of us, and inside that heart was the letter H. He said that was Harmony looking down on us.
Yeah, remember, Jameson was Crystal's son. Is that correct? That was Crystal's son and Harmony's half brother. Okay. For some reason, I thought that was no. Well, we got to get that straight. Either way, that's Harmony's half brother, Jameson, and these gentlemen adopted. They're married couple, and they adopted Jameson, who still thinks about Harmony and loves her and always will. That's their little sister. Well, I think she was the older sister.
Jameson constantly asks us, who took my sister away? Adam, you took away his best friend, his sister. You introduced murder into his life and forever created a void that can never be filled. We will never have the right answers for him on this and can only tell him Harmony is an angel now. Jameson will grow up forever wondering how this happened, how his sister, who looked over him in foster care, didn't have anyone looking over her.
I bet.
You chose, Adam, to take our little boy's sister away. You don't ever deserve another choice in a free society. Your Honor, we are asking you to impose the maximum sentence.
Your Honor, this courtroom, and especially Adam, I'm Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, and I'm the proud adopted dad of Jameson Miller, the proud young brother of Harmony. Harmony is the reason that we're all here today. Harmony, the child, Adam, that you murdered. You introduced a nightmare into our son. You introduced evil of this world to him. You have manipulated the criminal justice system until now, and trying to explain that to our 7-year-old son is hard. Before Jameson knew of Harmony's tragic fate, he would go to the door when the doorbell rung, and he would say, maybe she's found me. He would search a park, he would look at school, and if there was any girl that had blonde hair and glasses, he would go up to them and say, are you Harmony? I'll never forget the day that we told Jameson that Harmony was in heaven. He's a very active kid. And that day he just stopped and he held us and he said, no, I need my big sister. Why? Why did this happen? These are questions that Jameson has had and continues to ask. Daddy and Dada, what happened to my sister? Why did she die? Why would anyone hurt her? How about her glasses? Were they okay? My God, how will we ever help him process this horrible and brutal details of his big sister? Adam, you have to know you did that. As we celebrated Jameson's birthday in 2019 with a Mickey and Minnie Mouse theme, we had Mickey Mouse there. It's a Disney theme that he shares with his big sister and his mom.
Remember, this is all about Harmony, and these guys are remembering that. They've said Harmony's name over and over and over. And when Kayla gave her statement, all she cared about was herself. She talked about herself and the abuse that she endured, and she talked about Adam cheating on her. She never said anything about Harmony. Wow, disgusting. Kudos to these men for being loving men. They're crying. They genuinely care about Jameson, and they cared about Harmony. Wow, absolutely disgusting. This justice system is not working, and I don't know why it's so broken.
He wanted to save a gift from her that day, made from his Nana. It was a Minnie Mouse pillow, but instead, you were beating her to death. That was the same day. If Jameson was old enough to speak to this court today, he would want you to know the void that you left in his heart that can never be filled. Adam, he would plead with you to please tell us where she is. Let him have a place to go and remember his sister, please. He remembers her feeding him. He remembers when they would be at his foster home when she was there, that they would play in the park together. He remembers her glasses. He remembers how proud she was. How do we tell our 7-year-old that you murdered his sister, his protector, his best friend, and you showed no remorse? I wish they could be happy together today. Jameson asked, is she unhappy in heaven? If she can see him, and if we can visit her, why would anyone hurt her? That's what you've done to her son when you beat his sister to death. In her family, we really believe in love and forgiveness. I'm just not sure how to teach her son how to forgive the monster that murdered his sister. We as a family are leaning on God for that. Jameson also knows about the helpers. He knows about this court. He knows about the jury. He knows about the police from the local to federal. He knows about this community. We've told him these were the people that helped his sister when she was hurting. I'd like to share with you a few words that Jameson, as we were talking to him, because he wanted to know, where are you guys going? What are you doing? And I said, we're going to speak for your sister, and we're going to tell everyone how important she was to you. And this is what he said. Tell everyone my name is Jameson. I'm 7 years old. My sister's Harmony. I love Harmony. I miss her. I hope I get to see her again. My sister had beautiful blue eyes, and we smile alike. I liked having fun with her on the playground. She gave me a broken Elmo toy that was hers. I still have that, but I have the Minnie Mouse pillow and a new Elmo that's not broken. I keep it in my closet for her. I'm really sad she's an angel. I miss her. She was my best friend. I hope she can see me playing basketball, being silly with my brothers. And I wish I could bring Harmony to my school to meet my friends and my teacher. She loves the color purple and Minnie Mouse. I made a heart for her in purple and red with mirrors so I can look for her in heaven. I hope she...
Man, this is hard, folks. I don't normally get emotional, but this is making me emotional right now. I'm sure some of you are too. Wow, this is, I mean, you can tell the difference between people that are being genuine and the folks that are not genuine. And these guys are really being genuine. Davey nailed it and says the truth eludes, not because it's hard to find, but because people are unwilling to face it. And I agree with that 110%. People don't want to face the truth. They don't like the truth at all. And I will not make this about me, but what I do know is that I love to tell the truth and tell it how it is. And I noticed that people nowadays just don't like that. So people that do like and love people like these gentlemen here, or people like myself that want to tell the truth, people just don't like it. They don't like you. And it's just because you're telling the truth. And it is making me really emotional right now, folks. So let's play it because I don't like being emotional.
She sees me. The red is for my heart and the purple is for her. I love my sister. I miss her. I hope she's eating M&Ms in heaven. I hope her glasses are safe and not broken. And I miss you, and I will always love you, big sister. Thank you, Your Honor.
Damn. That was hard. I got something in my eye, folks. I think I got something in my eye. Let me wipe my eye out real quick. Okay, I'm good now. Wow. All right. Now, as we all sit here and wipe our eyes and get stuff, clear my eyes out, we got this monster back there that has no feeling, no emotion at all. He could care less what happens to Harmony, what happened to her, and whether or not they ever find her. Absolutely disgusting. And I agree, shame on the court for letting Kayla write that love letter to that monstrous murderer she was also complicit in Harmony's murder. Man, yeah, he can't even look up. Yeah, yeah, you did. I'm trying not to cry now. My voice is cracking, and yeah, something's in my eye. So let's continue. I'm having a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what happened. The fuck happened to us, man? Jeez. All right, let's keep going.
Your Honor, finally, with us today is Harmony's foster mother, Michelle Rafferty. Harmony was alive for 66 months.
And I feel so bad for her because her foster mother could have just kept her. They could have let her keep her out of harm's way, and they didn't. And I don't know why. This justice system is just so broken, and we need to be the voice for these children and for people in general to try and help fix it, or at least bring out this broken system to the light. If we don't say something, then nothing's going to be done. If we just let people continue to do what they've been doing, nothing's going to ever be fixed.
And for 44 of those months, she was with the Raffertys, Michelle and her husband, Tim. They've both prepared a statement as well and would like to speak with you today.
Your Honor, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak here today. This is truly the hardest thing I've ever had to do. My name is Michelle Rafferty, and along with my husband and my 5 children, we had the privilege of being Harmony's foster family. We shared our hearts, our home, and our life with her, and she filled our lives with joy and laughter. We lost a daughter, and my children lost their sister. We grieve for her every day because we thought we'd always see her again. Harmony was full of life and always happy. We jokingly told her that she leaves a sparkle wherever she goes. She loved to be in the middle of everything that was going on, and she never missed a beat. Harmony always had 2 mummies, me and Crystal, but only had one daddy, and that was my husband, Tim. I am beyond grateful Harmony had a relationship with a loving daddy and knew what that relationship should look like. She loved being a sister and had an amazing bond with our youngest daughter, and when our second daughter had her baby, she was delighted to be an auntie. Harmony was a friend to everyone, but she also had a best friend named Dominic. She loved going to church and loved going to school. She loved Minnie Mouse, playing outside, playing dress up, playing house, and loved to cuddle. She had a large community that she loved, and they loved her. She was kind and compassionate and always willing to share, even her Oreo cookies and favorite doll stroller. Since everything came to light, I have had trouble sleeping and concentrating. We had to explain to our children things that we never wanted them to hear and explain to them why a father who was supposed to love and protect.
And I notice everybody on this stand has been crying and shaking as that monster just sits there with no emotion, looking at some piece of paper or whatever he's doing in his own mind. He's just too bothered to be here. Wait till he answers the judge. Nope, you're bothering me. He doesn't say you're bothering me, but you can tell he's being bothered by this. He did not want to be there.
Her was being arrested for murder. Your Honor, I'm asking you to give Adam the fullest sentence. Adam is hateful and selfish and continues to be so by not telling us where her body is. Adam knew he could have brought Harmony back to us. He had options, but always chose himself each time. He never put Harmony first. There were consequences for his actions, and he will have to live with them the rest of his life. Our family is strong and beginning to heal by the grace of God. We know Harmony is safe in the arms of Jesus, never to be hurt again. So despite the evil brought to light in this trial, we will continue to move forward in love because love wins. Thank you.
She will be. And I do want to agree with her. Love does win. I know it's a hard fight. Loving people that are hard to love, and just loving your kids, loving others' kids. It's not easy, but it does win at the end of the day. And Kayla is not released yet, Carrie Ann, but she will be soon. Humanizing a victim probably stings. I hope it does sting him because he really does just look bored. And Harmony touched so many people, and so many people would have taken her. He isn't a poor excuse for a human being, everybody. And you just got here at the doctor. What'd you miss? Well, we're about to hear him get sentenced. You missed a lot of heartfelt things. Please go back and watch them when you're done. the press release. We'll play it after with the two dads and Harmony's younger brother, half brother.
Your Honor, in addition to those statements, the state is asking you to consider not only all of the details and the facts that you heard during trial, and not only, as you would for any defendant, their criminal history, of which is laid out there and which this court is already well aware of, but we are also asking the court to take into account two additional charges which are still pending. A firearm that was belonging and was owned by a Mr. Ewell, and also a high-point handgun. These are two charged but not yet adjudicated offenses that can be considered by the court when it comes to sentencing. We did not ask you to take the defendant's murder of his daughter into account at the last sentencing for the other firearms, given that it had occurred before her death. But these two not yet tried armed career criminal charges, offenses for weapons, belonging to Mr. Ewell and a high-point handgun should be considered to show that the minimum does not apply to this man. The court is already aware of the defendant's statements to many other people, many other people through many different facets of his life, with regards to being asked where his daughter was and for him to lie to them. This was subject to many different interpretations. The court has discussed this in different events, different times, in different hearings. With regards to those events and with regards also to the gun crimes that I speak of, Mr. Ewell's firearm and the high-point handgun, we feel that the state has already shown the requisite level of certainty that the defendant has done these crimes. He's been indicted by the grand jury. We've discussed them. Parts of the evidence that support them have already been presented to the court. But we have also asked for Detective John Dunleavy to be present from the Manchester Police Department, who can provide additional information if the court so chooses to hear that. So at this point, I would leave it up to the court's discretion if and when the court should be considering those two charges as part of coming up with the appropriate sentence for the defendant today. But he is here in the courtroom.
All right, thank you. I don't feel that I need to hear from him at this juncture. If the court feels it necessary to hear from him, I will do so later. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, one of the things that you saw during trial were the many different ways in which the defendant tried to conceal his crime, not just physically, but also with false statements and lies to others. Lies as to where she was, as to what had occurred, where it had occurred in the car, where he was at the time. Even lies, as you heard from some witnesses, as to whether or not he loved or cared for Harmony in the first place. You heard and saw the defendant try to sell his lies to anybody that would listen. And why does that matter? Because it's one thing to deny the charges that the state then and hold the state accountable to bring forth proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's another one to actively lie and deceive and blame others. And a defendant who does that, like this defendant did, is different and is deserving of more than the minimum punishment. You've even heard yourself how the defendant tried over and over again to get Kayla Montgomery to lie for him. The testimony we heard at trial included the verbal threats to her, beating her.
Thank you for coming, everybody that has showed up. I put a poll up today because I thought that it'd be important to go over this with the crime crew. I wasn't able to cover this yesterday when it happened because I do work. I have a full-time job that I've been doing for almost 17 years. So I wish I could be on a lot of the lives, but I'm here today to see some semblance of justice for Harmony and an end to this. Now, they did not find her body, which I'm happy that they convicted him without a body. And the only reason they were able to do that was because Kayla did speak up, thank God. But I still believe that she did not deserve that small amount of time. And she did not deserve that statement that she gave today. Yeah, he does look like a bull and he wants to punch someone. He looks angry. He looks bored. He looks like a whole bunch of things. And yeah, he'll never pay for anything. He's just going to go into jail and become more angry and controlling. And I'm sure he'll be getting in fights with people and hustling people and putting up a profile and dating women over the phone. He's not gonna do hard time.
Photographs that we saw of her black eyes, testimony from other independent witnesses of him either hurting her or her running away, being injured, or grabbing a cell phone out of her hands and manipulating her even months later to get rid of telephones that had evidence of the crimes on them. You've seen those bruises. You've heard those stories from independent eyewitnesses. That was not just an attack on her. That was an attack on our system of justice. And to hold him accountable for that independently, consecutively, to the actual underlying crime of the homicide and the second-degree assault from before. As you've seen in this case, if we don't do that, If we don't hold people accountable for those actions afterwards, then the criminal justice system is failing because it allows defendants everywhere under the concept of general deterrence to think that they can tamper with witnesses and destroy evidence. And if they're caught, well, it'll just be subsumed by the underlying crime. That's another reason why more than the minimum sentence is necessary. And finally, I'm not going to go into full detail on it, Your Honor, but you've seen in the state sentencing memorandum, there are 3 cases that are on point and when looking for comparison here. And those are State versus Caitlin Marin, State versus Mark Heath, and State versus Chad Evans, all cited in our sentencing memorandum.
I think the state did an absolutely amazing job of what they could do with this case, especially without finding a body. Now, I'm not going to listen to this old lady ramble on. I don't really care what her name is. I'm sure, again, I've been covering this case. You can go back into my playlist and watch that. I don't care what her name is. I don't want to hear her excuses. I want to get to the sentencing. So after we listen to the state, we're going to go to sentencing, and then I want to play the statements from the gentleman that have Harmony's half brother, just because it's such a loving statement, and love does win, folks. Even if the justice system's broken, we're here to help fix that. And every one of you has a voice. So speak up.
In those matters involved individuals who were convicted of reckless second-degree murder for injuring children. And all 3 of those individuals, either immediately after trial or at sentence review, all had sentences that were in their 40s. And all 3 of those people didn't have the criminal history that this defendant has. And all 3 of them didn't do afterwards to their victims and what they did to their bodies, what he did to Harmony. So in the state's mind, how can the defendant here get anything less for that? His behavior is worse. When we look at that, if and when he should ask for sentence review after today, if they look at that, we don't feel that there's any way that they could equate that his behavior was less than theirs, or that his punishment should be less than theirs. There's nothing about this little girl's death or her suffering or what her father did afterwards that can ever be classified as minimal. He is still determined 5 years later that she have no peace, no justice, no rest. So the state is asking you to do what justice requires, and that's nothing less than the state's recommended sentence. Harmony deserves it. Her family deserves it. The people of the state deserve it. And definitely this defendant deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Smith?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, we don't care what you have to say. You're a liar, and everything you have to say sounds like an excuse. You sound drunk the whole time, and you should probably retire, lady. We don't care what you have to say. Let's skip this lady. I don't care. Well, I want to hear from the judge. Right here.
2019, you beat Harmony. In the words of your uncle, her eye was fully black and blue like a raccoon eye, is what he said. Your words, when asked, were, quote, I bashed her around the effing house. And then you hid her from the view of others, and you kept her from those that came to help her. On the date that you murdered her, you didn't hit her once. You punched her in the head repeatedly. You beat her in the car while at stoplights, more than one time. You knew that she was severely injured, yet you covered her with a blanket and didn't check on her until after you took her lifeless body from the car. And then after her death, you treated her body like it was trash, worse than trash. You did unimaginable things to her body, and all in an effort to save yourself from being discovered as her murderer. And then, on top of that, you threatened, abused, and beat your wife to keep her silent. Your criminal history similarly reflects your extreme indifference to the value of human life. Your actions having taken both a physical and emotional toll on so many. In 2008, you were convicted of criminal threatening after pointing a knife at a 15-year-old girl. In 2010, you were convicted of armed robbery and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon in a home invasion incident in which it was reported that you held up a woman at gunpoint, terrorizing her to the point that she lost control of her bodily functions. In 2009, you were convicted of first-degree assault for stabbing another person. In 2014, you were convicted of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and larceny in a case in which it was reported that you shot a man in the face. In 2019, you were convicted of 2 counts of armed career criminal, 2 counts of theft, and 2 counts of receiving stolen property, all of the charges stemming from the thefts of firearms, guns, exchanges of guns for drugs and money. The court...
How was he able to get custody of Kayla? I mean, I'm sorry, Harmony. I didn't mean to say Caleb. How was he able to get Harmony? What is going on with this system? I don't know if it was overlooked because he was in a different area, a different judge presiding over it, but did you just hear all of the stuff in his background? And he could care less what this judge is saying to him right now. He looks like he just wants to be done and out of there. He keeps shaking his head like she's saying something wrong, and she's telling the truth.
It has to consider three primary goals of sentencing: punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation. The focus today is on your convictions in this case: second-degree murder, falsifying physical evidence, witness tampering, abuse of a corpse, and second-degree assault. But the prior convictions are important, and they're important as well as each of them reflects not just your extensive criminal conduct, but each of them represents an opportunity after sentencing for you to have changed the trajectory of your life, to change how you were treating other people. But you were either unwilling or unable to do so. And as a result, at this point, the court has the responsibility to impose a sentence that not only punishes you harshly for the crimes that you have committed, but considers deterrence, that is, how to keep you from hurting others. In light of the egregious nature of the crimes of which you have been convicted in this case, and taking into consideration your extremely violent criminal history, the court finds the only way to do this is to keep you off the streets. To the extent you seek to rehabilitate yourself, that will have to happen behind the prison walls.
Yes.
Harmony was an innocent 5-year-old girl. You treated her in the worst of possible ways in both her life and in her death. Therefore, the court sentences you as follows. On charge ID 2027112C, the charge of second-degree murder, you are sentenced to the New Hampshire State Prison for not more than life nor less than 45 years. That sentence is stand committed. That sentence is consecutive. All of these sentences, I should say now, are consecutive to each other, as well as consecutive to docket 216-2022 CR 577, which are the sentences that you're currently serving. Additionally, you're to participate meaningfully and complete any counseling, treatment, or education programs as directed by the correctional authority or probation parole. Law enforcement agencies may return evidence to its rightful owner. You are ordered to be of good conduct and comply with all the terms of this sentence. This is also consecutive to the second-degree assault charge in the docket ending in 20. That is charge ID 1937947C. Do you have any questions about that sentence?
Nope.
On charge ID 2027113C, falsifying physical evidence. On this charge, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 7 years nor 3.5 years. The sentence is stand committed, consecutive to all of the other charges that I'm about to read you, as well as consecutive to the second-degree assault charge and the docket ending in 20 and the sentences that you are presently serving. You do have the obligation, as with the other sentences, to meaningfully participate in programming as directed by the correctional authority or probation parole. You're ordered to be of good conduct and comply with all the terms of that sentence. On the charge of tampering with witnesses and informants, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 7 years nor less than 3.5 years. Again, this sentence is consecutive to the additional sentences that I've read to you that I'm reading to you in this case, as well as docket ending in 20 and the sentences that you are presently serving. You have the same obligations for participation in programming, and law enforcement may return evidence to its rightful owner. On the abuse of corpse charge, on this charge, you are sentenced to the maximum penalty of 12 months at the House of Correction. All of this sentence is suspended for 25 years. If it were to be imposed, it would be consecutive to the sentences that I read to you. And on this charge, you will also have the provision of a no contact order, and that is no contact with the Sorey family, the Miller family, and the Rafferty family. That sentence is also consecutive were it to be imposed to all of the other sentences in this case and the sentence you're currently serving.
Yeah, we don't even have to do the math. He's going to do like 112 years or something like that. And it's all consecutive, which means back to back, versus concurrent, which means running together. So he's never going to get out. And I don't think he'll ever get out. Even in 30 years from now, if some weird law changes, he's still not going to get out due to the weapons charges and what he did to that little girl and never giving up the body. He's not going to get out alive, folks. I'll tell you that.
On the second degree assault charge ID 1937947C, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 8 years nor less than 4 years. This sentence is consecutive to the sentences in docket 216-2022 CR 2372. This is charge ID 1937947C. On this charge, you have the additional requirement, as you have in the other cases, to meaningfully participate in programming. Law enforcement agencies may return evidence to its rightful owner, and you're obligated to be of good behavior and comply with all the terms of the sentence. Do you have any question about those sentences?
No, I do not.
All right, before you go, counsel, approach, please.
What a piece of shit. Look at this guy. He could care less about what anybody says. He has no respect for life, no respect for children, no respect for the law, no respect for the judge, no respect for himself. He's the devil. He is the devil himself.
The sentences that I just reviewed with you, Mr. Montgomery, are imposed in light of the extended period of incarceration. The court will also make the finding that you do not have an ability to pay your attorney's fees, so there will not be an obligation for those in these matters. The clerk will now address you regarding sentence review.
Montgomery, record I notify that you have the right to apply for review of the state prison sentence imposed on you on May 9th, 2024. The application may be filed within 30 days after the date of the sentence, but not thereafter except for good cause shown. If you file such an application, your sentence will be reviewed by a board of 3 members who will be either judicial referees and/or superior court judges. Review of the sentence may result in a decrease or increase of the minimum or maximum term within the limits fixed by law, or there may be no change in the sentence. The form for making application, if you wish to do so, is set forth below. Mr. Montgomery, this applies for both cases 216-2022 CR 20 and 216-2022 CR 2372. I'll do those with you.
Do you want to sign in there? Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have to act hard for the other inmates, Davey. He does that because he's the devil and he's evil. I've known many people that go into prison and they've come out a better person, and I've talked to them while they're in prison, and they do not have to act tough. You can turn your life to God when you go into jail. If you focus on God, stay out of gangs, do your classes for recovery, and you don't have to act tough or be into that. He's acting tough because he thinks he's tough, and he's just the devil, and he's not ever going to turn to God or any higher power or any type of love. He's an evil man.
Anything further from the state? Anything further from you, Attorney Smith?
No, you're right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
And there's everybody in the court that was there to see this man and see the justice be served today. And absolutely, Carly, he looks like he's really enjoying the food. He's a child. Yep, he's a child. And Stearns is not left out either. He's just as evil as Stephen Stearns. He's a narcissist. He's into himself, which is a narcissist. But all he did the whole time was care about how he looks. Yes, he looks like he's enjoying the food in there. Thank you, Carly. I needed that too. He doesn't even look like he's working out because he has man boobs. If you look at him, he's literally got man boobs up in that chest area. He's just eating the food from the state. I bet you people aren't sending him commissary. And when the commissary does get sent, guess what, folks? It gets taxed for all the money that they're saying that he owes. So we're going to play the video of the gentleman that spoke earlier, and then we're going to be off. And I'm playing this because I would like you to see a part of my community and how loving people can be. And leave on that note, instead of being angry, I want you to show you some love before we head out. Oh, because the next video I'm going to hop on after this with JT is going to be more sadness for Sade Robinson, more searching for body parts and so forth. So I want to make sure that we have some love here. All right, so let's This is a few minutes long. Let's watch some love together as we talk about things that can happen that are good, and listen to these gentlemen. And now we can see their faces, folks.
The adoptive parents of Harmony Montgomery's sister, brother that is Jameson. Let's listen.
The reality is that Adam Montgomery will stay in prison till at least being 118 years old, and that works. That's where he belongs. And so we're thankful to the judge, we're thankful to the Attorney General's office, and thankful to everyone who's been very supportive to us this week on behalf of our son Jameson.
Today, we looked evil in the eye. We
all looked evil in the eye today, folks. And if you're here, hit the like button. If you're heading out, hit the like button. Come back at 2:30 and let's get some justice for Sade Robinson. As the weekend rolls in, there's going to be a memorial for her, and I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about her father still searching for more body parts. So come back. If you're leaving, hit the like button on your way out, and let's show each other love. Let's listen to some love right here.
saw the person that took our son's sister away. Today, this ends in the courtroom, and we're glad that monster is put away forever. But today doesn't end for her son. He's still going to ask, what happened to my sister? Where's she at? Why did someone hurt her? And those are going to be really tough questions that we have to ask, that we have to answer. We want to thank this community. Harmony became everyone's daughter, everyone's sister. And without the support of all of you, this community, the police, this justice system, justice would not have been served today. But it was. And this is not a celebration for us, but we can tell Jameson that the monster was put away forever today. And we can never replace his sister, but we can tell him that he can't hurt anyone else.
I know that.
And yes, happy Mother's Day to us all this weekend. It's Mother's Day on Sunday, so don't forget, folks, call your mothers up if you still have that opportunity. If you're a mother like myself and many of you, enjoy your Mother's Day. These fathers, there's two fathers, but they're doing the job of a mother and a father, or two fathers, two mothers. They got a big job, and it's just as equal as a mother. So I commend them on Mother's Day as well.
We've long talked about this case, but the reality is, unfortunately, if there was another Harmony Montgomery today, another Harmony Montgomery could still happen. We certainly, all this needed to happen, but we also need to look at what's happening when it comes to child welfare, and to make sure this does not happen again, whether it's the state of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, or any state in this country. And that has always been something that we are committed to on behalf of our son, but also on behalf of Harmony. So that's what we look forward to next, is change happening. But we certainly are pleased with what happened here today.
You're advocating for Massachusetts for this Harmony Commission. I don't know if you've been given an update. Are you pleased or not pleased with the pace of moving that forward?
Absolutely not, because what's changed to stop another Harmony Montgomery today? This is so much about Harmony and Jameson, but this is also about so many of the most other vulnerable children, and they're all of our responsibility that we have to protect them. This was preventable. That she was beat in a car. When we all heard all the crimes that he had committed way before he got custody of Harmony, I looked at my husband and I said, how did he leave? How did Harmony leave such a loving home and her foster family? How was she not kept with her brother and living with us today? How were they ripped apart? And that has to change, because it could save these children's lives.
I think the biggest thing we ask is, what is it going to take to create the change? Because we've met with lawmakers. We've spoken with governor's offices. We've spoken with lawmakers in Washington. What is it going to take? There's already been a child that has been killed in a manner that none of us can even imagine. What will it take to create the change? And this should have been in place days after.
Jameson always ends most things when he talks about his sister, and he says, "I love you, big sister." And we let him know that even though she can't tell him, she loves him too.
Blair, what is that in your left hand there, though?
Jameson's mom, Crystal, gave this to us today to give to Jameson. It has a picture of Harmony on the other side of it.
And I wanted to show this also because these guys are doing something to help this community that you and I are in for children. They're going to Washington, D.C. They're meeting with lawmakers. They're trying to make change happen, not just for the children they have, but they're for the children that don't have a voice and for the children in the future that this will happen to, folks. I'm not being unrealistic. I'm telling you, that's going to happen to another child, and it happens every few minutes. It's happening. It just happens, but we needed help, and every little bit of help does help. Thank you, Giselle. This is for my mom on Mother's Day. It says mom on it, M-O-M. So happy Mother's Day to my mom. From me to you, Mom. I love you. All right, let's keep going. This is about harmony, but it's also about mothers, fathers, and people that love their children.
Which is very important to Jameson. It's very important to us. It's very important to our son that he knows Harmony's story, and he knows his story with her as well, and that doesn't get lost. Sadly, we have too many of these things that remind us of the tragedy and not the celebrations that should still exist. And so it's so sweet, but it's also so tragic.
Today's not a celebration for us. It's just, I think we want to get home and hug our 3 boys and tell them how much we love them and how lucky we are to be their dads.
Me too.
I also want to say one other thing. If you look back over there, you see officers of the Manchester Police Department, and I can't imagine what it's been like for them to deal with the realities of this. And we are so thankful for the law enforcement, the first responders, the people who kept this in the public eye, the people who've listened, the people who've been searching. Just inside, people were telling us about the searches they're still doing. And that matters. And we are thankful.
It does matter.
That will be the bright spot for him when he turns 15, 20, 25, goes down a rabbit hole of what's happened in his life. The bright spot in this will be those who've been out there fighting for harmony and fighting for him.
You and I have a really hard time processing these details. They're stomaching to hear the gruesome things Adam did to his own daughter, our son's sister, Harmony. But is what Jameson will never forget is every helper, every police officer, whether that's at the local level or the federal level. It's for every person in this community that shared her story. It's for everyone that fought and continued to fight to bring her home. And we hope one day that she's found. So he has a place. Crystal, their mom, has a place to go and remember her. They should have that right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that was it for this one. And I appreciate you all for coming here today with me. It didn't matter that 70% of people said they didn't want to come or they weren't going to rewatch it. Maybe it was just too sad, too heartfelt. But you know what? We still have to remember, and we still have to do it together. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to be back on in 23 minutes, and we're going to talk about Sade Robinson and getting justice for her and bringing her body home to her mother and her father. So on that note, I want to thank each and every single one of you. If you're a member, great. If you're not, just hit the like button. You don't need to have money to subscribe. You don't need money to hit the like button or to share. Everything helps the community. Thank you so much. I love each and every one of you, and I'll see you in 22 minutes. I'll be back. Thank you all. Happy Friday.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?